Hello, this is George Bean, and what I'm doing here is my first movie review on sort of fan audio commentary in some weird way to talk about a movie. And my first movie I'm going to do is John Carpenter's Halloween, and I thought it'd be a good movie to start the whole series of reviews off in a great way with a great scary movie. And I may become a bit boring at some points, but don't mind that, because I like to give y'all a good my side of how I love this movie. This is probably my most favorite scary movie. I'm gonna start the movie off now. The score by John Carpenter is astounding. It's suspenseful in good ways and peaceful using piano keys. It's such a great way on how he does it. He's a great composer. Also, Mustafa Akkad. He's the guy who financed this movie. He had blind faith in this movie. This is a great opening scene because of the pumpkin. It's just a creepy way to introduce the Halloween themes in this movie. Introducing Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie. This is her first movie, so it's an amazing. It launched her career very well, and it's really great. The movie, I love it. Yeah, again, if you ask me what my most favorite scary movie is, it has to be this, because it's the first one that made you jump out of scaredness. And really, it's just wow. And I think it's great. And Tommy Wallace, the editor, and also the production designer, he was the one who's responsible for the design of what Michael Myers wears. And the costume achieved great success, and it's made him an icon, the villain. And what makes the movie great is the financing it went through. It's an independent horror movie, and it shows how you can make such a great scary movie in the cheapest way, through cheap jump scares and a terrifying villain. And it did it very well, and inspired a future line of what's known as slasher movies, and that imitated in their own way, a different way, but it's more graphic than this movie. Here we start off with a point of view shot of the house in 1963. It's very creepy how you don't know who this is. And it's funny how we don't see a lot of Halloween despite there being pumpkins and trick-or-treaters, but it's just random in this movie, and that's just weird. Originally, the script was titled The Babysitter Murders. It was never set on Halloween, or never called it. It was executive producer Irwin Yablin's idea to name it Halloween, because there was never a movie that was set on Halloween. And thankfully it became a bigger success for that, and inspired a lot of horror movies set on holidays, like My Bloody Valentine, and Silent Night, Deadly Night, April Fool's Day. Jeez, and even Eli Roth's future movie, Thanksgiving, which we hope comes soon. And I can't wait. And who would leave the back door open out like that? This movie has a couple flaws we either missed or elected to ignore. And there's the knife. That's producer Deborah Hill's hands, actually. You might have heard of it in her interviews and stuff, but that's her. doing the camera work here. What's great is that it's all done in one shot. The cinematography by Dean Cundey is perfect. It's cinematography at its most artiste. It's funny here how this is probably the longest sex that has ever happened in movie history. A minute. Oh, probably over a minute it's happened. What is this guy, the Flash? And you know he's not gonna call her tomorrow. By that, yeah, sure. The bell ringing. Creepy in a scary way. It's the dark blue atmosphere that makes it so good and creepy. And here's the clown mask. It's random how he lost that if he was going out trick-or-treating. But whatever, I guess. It's a great way for him to put on a mask. And here's where he stabs his sister Lori. Yeah, by the way, that's Michael, 6 years old. Shocker. And he just stabs her repeatedly. It's a shock. I wasn't around during that time, but I bet it was a huge shock among the audience. And the story runs down the stairs outside the house, and the parents come. And it's revealed that he's a 6-year-old boy. I love how the mother just sees the bloody knife in his hand, and she puts her hands in her pocket like, "Ooh, you in big trouble, mister," instead of just running up and see if Judith's alright. Worst parents ever. That's a huge knife compared to this kid. Him in this clown costume is scary. Phew. It's a nice house. Smiths Grove, Illinois, in 1978, 15 years later. It's a great way to start off, to cut to 15 years later, and it's raining. And how we are introduced to Dr. Sam Loomis, played brilliantly by late actor Donald Pleasence. It was a bit of a shock for him to be in such an independent movie when he's such a huge star in his big movies. But he continued to play the character many more times, including part 2, 4, 5, and 6. At the end, very far end of the end credits of Halloween H2O, you'll see a memory card that says, "In loving memory of Donald Pleasence." I thought that was nice. I wish they'd done it like at the beginning or something, like they did for Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek 6. Would have been a nice place to place it there, instead of at the very end. That's my only complaint. You can tell Loomis is afraid of Michael. He spent 4 hours a day, every day for 6 months with the kid, and you can tell he's terrified, dramatized by whatever he's seen inside Michael. And Thorazine. Damn sure want to make sure Michael doesn't take any chance to escape. Brr, in the courthouse. And I never noticed until just a couple days ago that the gate they stop in front of is actually torn open. I never knew. So that's how Michael did it. He didn't jump over the fence, he broke the gate open. They look creepy in the white sheets they're in, as they look like ghosts. Here's where the Halloween theme comes back. Very good placement of music. The part coming up where Michael jumps up the cards. Quick reveal of his face. It's a blink and you'll miss. So, very ridiculous. It's a bit ridiculous how she rolls down the window to check. Of course, this happens. It's a cheap way to try to crash the car in a weird way. But it's perfect. And, this is a weird way for the passenger side glass to break. I don't think that would ever happen, but it's a movie. It's a perfect way for Michael to escape. Just takes the car, goes all Grand Theft Auto on the car. I think that's what he's been doing in his spare time in his Smith's Grove Sanitarium. And somehow he's learned how to drive perfectly. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons. Here's where we're in Haddonfield on Halloween morning. Roll credits. Oh, wait. No, don't. I love how it's just normal suburbia. It makes it perfect. Instead of, like, creepy house. And here's where you're introduced to Laurie Strode, played by the young Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis is the daughter of Janet Leigh, who starred in Psycho as Marion Crane, the person that we thought was the hero for the first half hour of the movie, and then she gets killed off in the shower. Well, here's Janet Leigh's daughter here, Jamie Lee Curtis. I have a map from the website of Haddonfield, and it's not, and it's shown a bit differently from what we're seeing. I mean, the Doyle house is located a couple street house away from, upward away from the Myers house, and yet Michael Loomis just goes down the street and yet doesn't hear her scream in the map. But whatever, I guess. I guess I got a typo map. And the Tommy Doyle. Kid who's afraid of monsters. Why? Moving unintentional inspires speech. Why speech from Terminator 2. The Myers house has seen better days. And this is where Michael first noticed Laurie setting off his stalking of her. What sort of parents would name their kid Lonnie? Only in America. Stalking. Also, it's obvious by the breathing that he's wearing the William Shatner mask, so he robbed the hardware store dead early in the morning. It's a long time for him to stay in like that. That's Terrence Wynn. He's the main villain in that bullshit sequel, Halloween 6. Side note, I love how it's done in one shot here. It's perfect. If this were done today, it would have been more like MTV style, with the shaky camera and multiple shots. Thank God for the 70s cinematography. It's way better. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons. Movie unintentionally inspires bullshit sequel Halloween 6. And we all know it's Win. By the look on his face. I love how the schools have those old little desks on the right. I'm a lefty-handed with writing pens, and if I wrote on I would just have a hard time writing, and they're like, scribble. At least my school didn't have that. The car there, I never noticed behind the car Michael there until I noticed the mask just weeks ago. It shocked me. I thought it was just in the car, but I never noticed Michael being there until the mask on my flat screen. This is where they discuss fate, which is later answered in H2O. Fate. Impossible for Michael to walk to the car, start the engine, and drive away by walking slowly. I think I saw a little girl wearing a skirt in an elementary school. I don't think they allowed those today. Bullies. I hate bullies. I was insulted by bullies. They never leave you the hell alone. They always laugh at everything you say, and they trip you over, breaking something, or dropping your books. If you had that problem, you are not alone. That's a huge scare. Michael Myers played brilliantly by Nick Castle. Castle was originally just supposed to be hanging around on the set watching, but Carpenter decided it would be better off if he played Michael Myers, so he would do something on the set, since everyone would be working. And his walking was just his normal walking, and it played more menacing instead of just running. I love how coming up later, the car slows down right next to Tommy, and Tommy doesn't notice this car right next to him. If I notice that car, I'll be turning the other way around. See? I wouldn't notice that. Turn around, Tommy. It's always great having Donald Pleasence. He does the Loomis character so brilliantly. His monologues are mesmerizing. The way he describes Michael. And I wish he deserved an Oscar for that. And I love how where he finds it's convenient how how he finds that truck where Michael changed his clothes to a mechanic jumpsuit. But thank God, because if Loomis hadn't found that, he finds Michael's white patient clothes. He's abandoned clothes. Warehouse, farmhouse, hen house in that area. Your fugitive's name is Michael Myers. Go get him. Doesn't know this, but there's that dead mechanic. So that raised Michael's body count a little bit more if you included the dead mechanic. Here's where we're introduced by Linda Vanderbook, played by PJ Souls, and Annie Brackett, played by Nancy Loomis, Laurie's best friends. Totally. Nobody says that anymore. I'd love for that to be back. Cigarette smoking. Wait, it's later found out that Annie has a car. Why couldn't she just drive from school to home? I don't know, but... Throwing eggs at soaking windows and ground it. Forget my chemistry books and all books. That's exactly what I was like in school. I never brought my books home, and never did the homework until the next morning, and still get a good score. I love the station wagon. These two girls never noticed the little tattoo thing, a sticker on the side of the door that has an eagle and has for official use only. How could you not notice that? It's so obvious. 8 jerk speed kills, and Michael is out of this world. Fortunate that he heard that when he stops the car. Oh, too late, because it's gonna happen for later tonight. Get us all in deep trouble. Yep, tonight. Convenient places for Laurie and to be three houses down from the house that her friend Annie is babysitting. Convenient places. And it's lucky how, based on the map that I got, that all three of these girls have houses lined up, separate houses away from each other in a line position on the street based on the map. If you look at the map, then you'll see what I mean on the website. Scared. When I first saw this as a kid, that scared me too. Seeing Michael behind a hedge maze, hiding away behind the bush. It was scary. I was a bit freaked out when I first saw that, when I was probably like 7 years old, on a VHS tape. With the slow walking he's doing, he's very fast, Michael. She wants to take you out tonight. And Lori falls for the bait. The character Laurie Strode is very great. She's such a great final girl that you feel bad for because she noticed this guy and yet no one else noticed him. And you feel bad for her because of that. She's definitely a heroine you would definitely root for to survive and fight. And I think she makes the top final girls in horror movies on lists everywhere. Good fake jump scare by Sheriff Brackett. Halloween. It's funny how it's only he and another police officer, the only two police officers we see in this movie. They say they have lots of other police officers, but we don't see them. Given that it's an independent movie, guess they couldn't afford other police officers. But in the sequel they do. This is where we see kids trick-or-treating at around like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I never seen anything like that in my time. I guess they stopped that. Times change. The more things change, the more they stay the same. That's a scary moment, seeing Michael in the laundry flapping around and he suddenly disappears. That was quick. She didn't even blink. Those old telephones. I have one of those as a toy, and I bought it because of the little winding thing. It's great. I like to have one. I'm thinking about plugging it in and to make it a workable phone. It cost me $25. But it's worth every penny, just to have that. As a little relic. So to say, there is a television version that has extended scenes that was filmed in for television because it was a bit short after they cut out the more graphic scenes, such as the death scenes. And they found out that it was shorter than they expected to fit in their time slot in that time, back in 1980 or 1981, when they were first premiering it on TV. And they needed to stretch it a bit longer, and they asked John Carpenter, who was working on Halloween 2 at the time, to film some extended scenes for the movie on TV. So we filmed 3 extended scenes. If you have the chance on stumbling upon them, check them out. They're worth the watch. They fit very well in the movie as well. And the first one has Loomis arguing with the doctors about keeping Michael in a maximum security prison. And it's a nice little scene. And his attempts to place Michael in a max just fails, is rendered futile, and they believe, and the doctors, the main superior doctors, believe that Michael, due to his comatose, believes he's better off in a minimum security prison. Our Loomis' futile argument included that he believes Michael's comatose is just a ruse, fooling the doctors, everyone around him. Despite his failed attempts, he meets up with young Michael and says, "You fooled them, didn't you, Michael? But not me." And it makes you believe that maybe Michael is fooling everyone, and everyone is just oblivious. But it makes Michael smarter. The second scene shows the next day, after the escape, where Loomis looks through Michael's old room and finds it's torn apart, and he sees the word "sister" written on it, which I'll say "sister" written on the door in red, and it's explained in Halloween 2, which I'll get to in that movie. But Loomis says, "I know where he's going," and he leaves, and that was before he meets up with Dr. Wynn, arguing about 2 roadblocks and all that stuff, before leaving for Haddonfield. And the third scene showed Laurie getting ready for a babysitting job, and receives a visit from Linda to borrow clothes from her, and she mentions being watched by a guy, and a weird guy, and believes it's some other high school student, which is really ridiculous how they mistake this guy for a high school boy they know that they believe has the hots for them. But they're good. Those 3 extended scenes are good. Give them a try and watch it. They're good. The song here, "Don't Fear the Reaper." Perfect song by the Chordettes, I think. But it's a good song. And that's obviously weed they're smoking. And you can tell by Annie's eyes. And this is where they find a hardware store broken into, the alarm. And yet, the alarm's still going. Either the police are terrible at responding to hardware store alarms, or this is the laziest store alarm in history of security systems. All they took was some Halloween mask, a rope, and a couple of knives. The mask, the William Shatner mask, in pale white. And it's obvious Sheriff Brackett can smell the weed smoke, but elects to ignore it. I guess he doesn't want to arrest his daughter. Nepotism. I love this moment. Loomis is trying to look everywhere in a calm way, and yet Michael in the station wagon drives behind him. I spy Blue's Clues. He's right there! Convenient timing. So I guess they're continuing to smoke weed. This is where we see it's now to nightfall, so it's getting close to nighttime because the sun's going down. It's dusk time. This is where Laurie mentions I'd rather go out with Ben Tramer for the prom night, and Annie's shocked by that. Remember that name, Ben Tramer, for Halloween 2, and you'll see why. And it's truly a shock. Ben Dreamer. Long live Ben Dreamer. It's incredible how Annie or Lori doesn't notice the station wagon following them for the last couple of minutes, behind them closely. But that's cool. The sun's going down quickly. It takes 35 minutes for Halloween nightfall to begin in this movie. They must have driven a really long time around town before finally reaching the house. This is where Lori goes to Tommy Doyle's house to babysit, and across the street, Annie goes to babysit Lindsay Wallace at the house from across the street. It's frightening to see Michael walk and hide behind this tree, watching Annie start her babysitting job at the front of the house. The music is perfect here. It's creepy seeing the scene from what the killer's seeing. This is where Sheriff Brackett and Dr. Loomis go into the old Myers house to investigate and see if that's where Michael's hiding out in. It's a very eerily calm, hypnotic scene in a way, because the way it's lit in that blue tint, the atmosphere in the house, when it's all dark, and the music, perfect music. If I get a piano, I want to try that. Try to see if I could perfect it, even though I'm not very good at pianoing, but I'm hoping to try that type of music. Check it out on YouTube. It's soundtrack number 12, The Haunted House, for the Halloween soundtrack. It's perfect when you hear it on the soundtrack. This isn't a man. Chills down my spine. Loomis implies that Michael is more than just a human. Yeah, that's right, I'm 18. Would I dare to do this thing on an empty stomach? It's a bit funny how Loomis says it happened in here. She was sitting right here. Yeah, I think Sheriff Brackett already knows that. From 15 years ago. And, that was such a good jump scare there with that thing just hitting the window. That's candy glass, accordingly on the making of the movie, but it's a bit funny how that thing just falls onto the glass. What is that thing? Part of the Watergate thing for the pipe? And that's where Loomis reveals that he has a permitted gun to have. Good foreshadowing on the gun. And this is where Loomis does his monologue.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. What do we do?
Such a perfect monologue he does about Michael.
I
It's
think he'll come back.
eerie, and he does it so perfectly. Some people would consider it campy now, but back then it was eerie for audiences. And he does it very well. And he describes, basically, in a way, describes Michael's mask. Blank, pale, emotionless face, and the blackest eyes. That's how you describe the William Shatner mask.
Come out, Carter. Let no one pass this way without a fight. That's so simple. The whole I don't like that story.
And I love how the movie never explains about Michael's motive, his motives, his reasons for killing. It just says that he's pure evil. That's it. It just makes it that much more menacing. You don't need to know that he's like a sociopath with a trashy family and all that stuff, cutting animals. It just the fact that he just all of a sudden killed his own sister with a knife when he was 6 years old is truly shocking. There's something behind him. There's darkness. And that's what makes him such a terrifying menace. The fact that he is just pure evil.
Lindsay, get this dog out of the kitchen right now.
Also, so to say, I dislike Rob Zombie's remake. Fuck that movie. And fuck its remake. A sequel. H2. Everyone acts like they're a prick with an attitude problem in those movies. Nobody's happy in that movie. Everyone's white trash. And so much profanity, it makes Scorsese jealous. Jeez. So, I'm just gonna pretend those movies never exist. I want to wipe them out of my mind. There's only one Halloween, and there will only be one Halloween. That one was made in 1978 by John Carpenter and his crew.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I couldn't even fix it.
I love Tommy's costume. It's always question what his costume is supposed to be. Han Solo suit, or a Luke Skywalker suit, or an astronaut suit. You can tell it's an astronaut suit by the American flag on his arm. But it does look like Luke Skywalker with the utility belt. Or it's both. I'm calling it the Astronaut Skywalker. Michael watching behind a flower pot. It's funny how this thing just drops. How did he make that thing drop? Did he just bump into it? It's a bit scary here, how he kills this dog here. The dog was trying to bark, just only barking at it. And he goes up and grabs it and straight up murders it by strangling it to death.
Barking again and getting on my nerves again. Never mind.
If I heard that dog sound like that, I would get suspicious there. Not just blow it off, as he found a hot babe. Perfect way to cut to the Doyle house, with television showing the opening to The Thing from Another World. And it's a bit ironic, accidental foreshadowing that John Carpenter will go on to direct the 1982 remake, The Thing, which is also another one of my favorite horror movies. I hope to get to that movie later in the future.
What about the rest of my comic books? Asked Jacqueline. What about the boogeyman?
There's no such thing.
The Boogeyman.
You said he was coming after me tonight.
So to say about the original Babysitter Murders script, I remember hearing that because it was not set on Halloween night, it was originally took place over a space of several days,
I saw him outside.
and
Nobody outside.
the reason why it was changed to one night is to help cheapen the
The boogeyman.
amount of clothes the actors would have to wear throughout the movie,
The boogeyman-
lessen the amount, and
Well,
that helped.
I'm not about to let anything happen.
And also to set it on one night helps to keep any day and night problems, which would take longer. To be honest, I would love to read that script and see how different that is from the movie we have now. I love that the washing machine and dryer in the back shed house in the backyard. My house, most of my house never had that. Oh, that's scary. Michael can move the door with his mind.
Who's there? Oh, is this one of your
Paul.
It's not.
It's scary here how it just closed like that, without seeing his arm pull it. That's right, he does it with his mind. Telekinetic powers.
Come out here.
I love how Lindsay doesn't hear the phone ringing right next to her. Oblivious. Hypnotized by the TV, wait until 30 years later when cell phones come out. She's gonna be so hypnotized by them. Mindless zombie.
Hello?
A nice trivia note: the William Shatner mask,
Yes.
the infamous mask that we now have, was originally just a simple William Shatner Star Trek mask. The eye holes were shorter, it had sideburns, and the mask was just normal Caucasian skin. And it was just in a random store that Tommy Lee Wallace was browsing through because he was because of the budget, small budget. He just had to find the cheapest mask he could find, and he found one for just $1, and that was it. Actually, there were two masks. There was one called the Dawn Post Smiling Mask, which looked creepy. That helped that won them over because it was creepy and scary. And but then they tried the William Shatner mask, which what they did is that they broken up the hair a bit to go back with paint, little bits of white paint on it, like fingerprints, and they spray painted the skin white, and cut in the eye holes a bit more, and took out the sideburns, and It became the mask that we see it now, and it won everyone over. And it's perfect, the mask. It just makes him featureless. And the way it's done under a light just makes it glow so brilliantly, especially in the blue. It's scary how he appears by the back patio doors. Scary moment. The person she's talking to on the other side is Paul. That's actually the voice of John Carpenter. You can definitely tell by the tone of his voice. The old Zenith televisions, where there's so little to no, like 4 or 5 channels, including PBS, and all in black, and most of them in black and white. And the antenna rabbit ears. Now we have flat screen TVs with no antenna rabbit ears, and we have like almost 70 channels, 125 if on Dish. Scary moment for him to jump out. I never noticed that, but until I saw it in Letterboxd, it just made me jump. I love this moment. Tommy's like, "Hi, come on in. We're making the jack-o'-lantern." And then Lindsay's like, "Yeah, well, I want to watch the thing." It's just funny. It made me laugh at one point. I was laughing my ass off the whole night. It just, I want to watch the thing. Ben Tramer again. We're supposed to remember that when you watch the sequel, that Ben Tramer went out drinking with his other friends. That explains why he was moving a bit weird in the Halloween 2. He was drunk. The old Girl Scout comes through again. Perfect one-liners by Laurie. Remember, the front door to her car is locked, so she decides to go back into the house to get her keys. I love how it's just perfectly paced, leading up to her death. It's like unexpected. The movie never makes you question how these people are gonna kill, but when. So she goes back to her car and opens it without trying out the keys, and it's unlocked. And it's a bit funny how Michael does it, able to unlock the door. Big jump. And this is the perfect point to finally see the mask in full view, even though it's through a fuzzy window. The mask that scared us back in 1978, and even scared me when I first saw this. And this is a bit creepy, scary moment. Michael takes out a knife and slashes her on the jugular throat, and that's a quick, very quick kill. It just, and she ends up, that was very quick, and no blood just splurted out. You only see a little red line. But it's very scary when you see it through the fuzzy window. Now the kids are watching Plan 9 from outer space, in black and white. No, that's Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet, that's a good movie. I don't believe in the scary pranks. I just find them to be a waste of my time. And plus, the person I scare is gonna hate me for life. Also, it's a scary moment when you notice Michael carrying dead Annie into the house, especially in place with the sounds from the TV. Makes it that much more scarier. And once again, Laurie doesn't notice Michael outside, thinking it's all Tommy's imagination. And Lindsay believes Tommy just to make him feel better. And coming up where we see the three kids heading up to the frighteningly up to the Myers house as Loomis watches behind a hedge bush. I never noticed, but one of them, it's the bullies, including Lonnie, and it's just funny. It's like a bit of a payback to these to these little bastards, because Loomis scares the holy hell out of them, saying, "Get your ass away from there," and here it is. The part here, the whole one shot when Loomis is talking to Brackett is very well put. The shot, very well angled as well, and how he's trying to convince the sheriff to keep watch of Myers, and Pleasance does a very good job as Loomis, and I haven't watched any of his other movies except Escape to Witch Mountain, and he's very good, and I think it's his best performance in my mind, no matter what other movie I watch, because he gives such great emotional weight to the movie, and it's just Donald Pleasance, another great actor. It's a bit stupid how, Sheriff Brackett blames Loomis for letting Michael go. He says, "Damn you for letting him go," and Loomis didn't let Michael out. It wasn't his fault. Maybe he's just making a common enemy out of Loomis. And this is where we see Annie and her boyfriend Bob going into the abandoned Wallace house to get some love time. The blouse Linda's wearing is actually Laurie's blouse that she's borrowing from Laurie. And she says, "Don't rip my blouse, it's expensive, idiot." Well, it ain't yours, it's Laurie's. It's a bit funny how they leave their door open like that, and... Bob does not look like a teenager. He looks like he's in his mid-20s, mid to late 20s. And the glasses. I remember hearing originally, trivia note, little side trivia note, that originally John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wanted PJ Soul's real-life boyfriend Dennis Quaid to play Bob, but it's never explained, but I think he was unavailable or didn't want to do it, but they found someone else another actor to play Bob. It would have been a lot cooler if Dennis Quaid played Bob. That's a scary moment to see Michael there. I love carving pumpkin heads. It's a bit it's a bit of a mess, but it's good if you try it out. It's a bit hard carving the eye holes and mouth. That's the difficult part. I tried it many times. Almost got it. I even tried to recreate the pumpkin head from this movie in the opening titles, but almost. You feel bad for Laurie because, you know, she's the one who's left out of everything while her friends are having a good time. And she's like the black sheep. The one with the short end of the stick. It's like PJ Souls definitely plays the teenager. She also plays 2 years before this movie. She also played a teenager in a movie called Carrie, and she was one of the bullies that pick on Carrie, and she ends up dead in the climax if you watch that movie. But I was like, that's that woman from Halloween when I first saw the movie. Poor Laurie. That's for sure. I find it funny how all the beer cans are there on the shag carpet, and, you know, how they're having sex in the master bedroom where the patriarch and matriarch sleep in. I wonder what happens when the parents come home. They're gonna be like, why does it smell like beer and sex in here? Then Annie would be like, you know. What I love about the movie is that, you know, it's, in a way, it's unlike most, a lot of horror movies, this one's clean. And I'll get to as to what I mean by clean is that's, even though it's rated R, but because they didn't have PG-13 back in 1978, there's very little to no profanity in this. Not even the F word is said once in this movie. And this movie helps prove that you can make a horror movie without profanity, without having to say the F words 50 times. And the graphic violence, like from the death scenes with so much blood, there isn't very much, just a little bit of blood, and it's the color texture of the atmosphere in the shot that makes it much more scarier, and psychologically chilling, and that's the graphic scenes. There's bits of blood, including on the knife, but you don't see like the stab wounds in like Freddy vs. Jason, where the blood splurts out like fountain. And this movie is like a slasher movie, but without the blood and graphic gore, and they die in clean ways. And also, the other part is on why it's clean is that there's very little nudity. Sure, a couple of moments here and there, but that's about it. Not a lot, unlike most movies today. And that's what I love about the movie. It's just clean in that way. If this movie were released today in this way, it probably would be PG-13. And this is where Bob dies. It's a scary moment. Michael just pops out of the closet when Bob opens it, and the music just scary moment that definitely made me jump when I first saw that. And the dirty fingerprints on the blade, and when it's shining against the light, and cool way to kill him by sticking him onto the wall, but I don't think the handle would be the blade would be long enough to keep him stuck onto the wall, based on what we see. It would definitely become tumbling down. Michael's the way his head tilts makes it that much more scarier. It's like he's looking at this like a rare thing never seen before, and it makes him very scary. And that's what makes him scary. He's very emotionless. He shows no mercy for when he kills someone. This is a bit of a funny moment when Michael shows up in front of Linda, wrapped in a sheet with Bob's glasses. Just up as it goes. I got a rock, as quoted from Charlie Brown. And he just stands there, does nothing. And that's what makes this movie, written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, very creative and scares. It's the lead up that makes the suspense, the tension of the lead up that makes it much more scarier than blood splurting out, which is like the splatter movies. This is just a psychological horror movie. That's what this is. And it's just so scary when you see him walk up closer to her, behind her. It's so scary when it happens. And the way the music stops is just a bit scary too. And the way as Linda dies is scary when she pulls off his sheet. I'll kill you if this is a joke. Too late. This is one good clear shot of seeing the mask. It's very scary when you see it on the big screen. And the music, that once again, very well placed in this movie at various parts. I love the shot of where you see the Wallace house from across the street and you hear the ringing of the telephone. It's very scary, especially with the music. Who's with me on that, huh? And this is a nice moment when when Laurie checks up on the kids, Sleep Tight Kids. It shows how generous she very is. Laurie really is. And this is where Loomis stumbles upon the government car that Michael left. How did Michael get it back over there without Loomis noticing? It's just a little flaw that we just chose to ignore. But it's very well put it in the movie. This house here that he passed by, it's just, it looks like 1428 Elm Street. So Loomis had to go through Elm Street to find a car and go up to the street on Halloween. So if you check out the movie and see that house, you'll see what I mean. I swear to God, it looks like the house from A Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember hearing that on the production, everyone's clothes, except for Jamie Lee Curtis, were all just actors' normal clothes because they couldn't afford costumes. The only actress who had a costume was Jamie Lee Curtis, and the clothes she's wearing now during the night was bought by John Carpenter at a JCPenney's. For a lot of money. It was very expensive. And it's perfect clothes on the movie for the final girl in a scary movie. The shots where we see where we're in the point of view of her point of view going up to the house is very scary. Especially when the house has no lights on inside. I love the color textures of the night when it's blue. I love my favorite colors. Let's face it, my favorite color is blue, and this movie has the color blue so well. I guess it won my heart and soul over like that because of that. I remember for the 30th anniversary of the movie, Artisan Entertainment did a DVD release on its 30th anniversary, but they did something very wrong. They changed the color textures of the movie to make it more like the fall. This angered a lot of fans, and this angered me too when I found out about it. And the fans set it up a petition to change that, and thankfully Anchor Bay Entertainment caught the petition and decided to do a 35th anniversary edition on Halloween in the form of Blu-ray, and there are some moments where they changed a bit, but they brought back the blue texture, which has made a lot of people happy. And I have the movie on Blu-ray and I have it on DVD. So is that both on different discs. I'll still love watching the DVD version because that's the way the movie is shown is. But yeah. I love how she goes for the same closet door that Bob went to, where Michael jumps up. I thought that Michael was gonna jump out there again. It makes you wonder, why doesn't she turn on a couple lights? It's never explained. Maybe there was a power outage in that house? I don't know, but I would be turning on some lights. But it's perfect for this movie, the darkness in the house. It's so scary when it does that. And it's like she's being lured to her doom. Once again, that music. That's probably my most favorite piece out of the whole music soundtrack. Because it's so finesse with the piano keys. It's really scary how she walks up through this dark house upstairs. It makes it scary if you wonder if Michael's gonna jump out. I was a bit on edge because of that, too. And even seeing the lit room with the door closed and the lit room behind it just scared me a bit, thinking he was gonna jump out. But this is such a cool way for her to see her friend's dead. And there's the missing headstone of Judith Myers. Scary moment. I remember seeing it on the back cover of the VHS, and it scared me. Especially with the pumpkin head. And the way Bob swings out dead, upside down, is scary too. And there's poor Linda dead, cross-eyed. And this is I think this is one of my favorite shots. Just Laurie on the wall, and on the door behind her you see Michael's mask light up in the light. I was like, and easiest target to hit ever, and yet misses her by scratching the blade on her arm. How could he miss? But whatever, you know. It's scary how it's also a bit scary how he walks down the stairwell and the light just hitting his mask. It's such a cool way it was shot. John Carpenter once again doing a great job as a director on this movie. That was very quick of Michael to put the rake to lock the back patio door, and run upstairs and hide in that room and to attack Laurie. Bust through that door. That would hurt me trying that. The kitchen blade he has looks a little big and shiny compared to mine in the kitchen. If you watch this after watching every horror movie, you can notice the cliches, and you go like, but if you just forget all about all those movies and watch this, it's perfect, the movie, and I love that for that. Here's where she tries to get help from the neighbors, and they just turn off the light. Worst neighbors ever. Guess who's not coming to the Strode family barbecue next year? And I've always wondered, how did she lose her keys? Maybe they fell out when she was in the Wallace house? This is so cool how it's shot from... You see that house from across the street, and Michael walks up and he gets closer and closer. It's so scary how that happens, the way it's shot that way. Him coming closer and coming closer. I was like on the edge. And I know everyone was back in those days, huh? And I just noticed that outside the house, the front door opens on the right side, the handle on the right side. But when you're inside the handle is on the other side. What happened? Little continuity error. And of course the phones don't work. Which has become another horror movie cliche, now with cell phones. No signal. And this here, where Michael once again stabs her, but attempts to stab her so close to her, and yet misses. Easiest target to hit ever, still misses. And he stabs her with the big knitting needle right in the neck. And she thinks that killed him. It's never gonna given a good reason why she drops the knife, but it's explained that if it were done in a close-up, according to Jamie Lee Curtis, she believes the reason why she drops the knife is because she looks at it and is repulsed by it, so that's why she drops it. And so now after figuring that out, I can understand why she drops the knife. So there she goes. Oh, that's the end of the Halloween movies, that's for sure. And we see Loomis continue walking down the street. That's a long time for him to walk. Not hear the screams. And there's Sheriff Brackett running into Loomis again. The leaves falling. I remember hearing the crew had to reuse those leaves over and over again for when they do scenes where the leaves fall. To let us know that it's the fall season. Those same leaves were reused over and over again. I love the moment where Tommy says, "You can't kill the boogeyman." That's true. I never noticed until I watched the widescreen version. Behind Laurie, you can see Michael walk up the stairs, and you see the blade shine up. What? And there he is. That's such a scary movie when you see him behind you. I would jump up. And the music, once again. It's a smart move she does. She opens the patio, upper patio windows to make it think she climbed out that way, and she hides in the closet. But that's suddenly the first thing he checks, the closet door, the closet. It's just a scary moment to see him break into the closet, getting close to her. It scared me when I first saw it too, and it scared me as he got closer, breaking the door down when I first saw it, and seeing it in the widescreen still scares me. And I love how he accidentally has the light turn on, and I just love how this is a good way to see this is probably the only time you see the mask in light in this movie. It's perfect. It looks like discount white albino William Shatner. And I love that how the light goes off and he attempts to turn it on, but it flashes. I don't know if that was an accident, but it was perfect. And Laurie stabs Michael in the eye with the straighten out the wire hanger. Damn, that must have hurt in the eye. And he stabs her in the chest. Oh, that's the end of the Halloween movies, that's for sure. And it's so scary, it makes you think he might jump up, but he doesn't. But when you see him for the first time, it's like on edge, and you get to, you know, calm down as you watch it 500 more times. And she drops the knife again. I would keep that knife and just stab him more, and this time in the heart, and the chest, and in the head, huh?
Mommy, unlock the door. Come here.
And where she tells the kids to go down to the Mackenzie's house for help. Remember that name, the Mackenzies? That's the same name we hear in the beginning of Scream. Drive down to the Mackenzies. Around 11 minutes in of that movie. And hopefully we'll be getting to that movie later on in another one of reviews. This shot here where we see Michael rise up is so scary. I remember hearing audience sounds from a video on YouTube. Everyone screamed. And it showed the way he does it makes him less human, more like robotic like the Terminator in some weird way. The music doing it again. And the way he just walks up slowly to her is so scary. And especially when he's at the background he's in is blurry. And luckily Dr. Loomis comes in to save the day. Loomis ex machina. And Laurie unmasks Michael, and this is probably the only time we ever see Michael's face in the whole franchise. And I heard that scared a lot of people back when it first came out. Expecting an ugly face. And Loomis straight up shoots his own patient, point blank. The upper patio Michael falls in is very different from the one in Halloween 2. Remember that. Because reasons. And it's so cool how Michael ends up getting killed at the end. Such a cool way at the end. It's perfect. Gets shot 6 times and drops off the balcony onto the ground. What she says here is, was it the boogeyman? That's what she said. Not, it was the boogeyman. This moment where Loomis sees that Michael is gone, and he has that I knew this would happen look. It's so cool how Donald does it. He would have went for a more shocked face, but the way he does it like I knew this would happen is so great, scary. And it gives the way he looks around gives the sense that Michael might be everywhere. And how it goes everywhere around the house. Every part of the house is back to Michael's. And hearing him breathing gives the sense that evil cannot die. And it's such a brilliant way for it to end. It was never meant to be a cliffhanger for a sequel. They never went originally intended for their sequel. It was just an accident, and that was just Carpenter's way of showing that evil never dies, and I think it works perfectly. And that's how it ends. Halloween, and the guy who does the face for Michael when he's unmasked, that's not Nick Castle, that's a guy named Nick Moran. And because Carpenter wanted an angelic face. In the end credits here it says, Michael, age 23, played by Tony Moran. That's the guy unmasked. And Nick Castle plays The Shape. That's Michael. That's his nickname. That's what he was referred to in the script, The Shape, because of his how he can form, appear, and disappear instantly. And the weird shape his mask made against the light reflection. And I think it's a cool name, The Shape. And thank you guys for listening to this review and fan commentary, and hopefully this will be the first of many for other movies, and I hope you enjoy it. And so to say, I love the movie. It's my most favorite scary movie, and that and a little bit of The Haunting, but this one takes the cake, and I hope to do this again some other time, and if we get a chance, hopefully my next review will be for Halloween 2, and I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to my boring critique on the movie, and this is George Bean here, giving the first video review / fan comedy for a movie, and thanks for watching.